Second, here we go, Dave. You got two stories. Tell me what's up.
Man, what is going on? All right. So you remember that guy that used to work for our dad? His name was last name was Benny Lentz. Remember?
Oh yeah, Benny. What's up, Benny? Shout out.
So Benny Lentz, I'm sitting watching this ridiculous show on I think Amazon. No, no, Hulu.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
about the story of Hillsong, right? This guy
Okay.
named Carl Lentz.
Yeah.
So, you know me, I'm like, I wonder if this has anything to do with the Lentz family that we already know, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I did research on Carl Lentz's um, family.
Okay.
Led me back to his dad, Stephen Lentz, right?
Right.
And Stephen Lentz seems like has family in Wisconsin because his nephew recently just died,
Mm-hmm.
who is one of 12 children
Okay.
that lives
So
in Green Bay named Lentz.
shout out Len's family. So
So I'm like, no way that this guy that is the pastor of Hillsong or ex-pastor of Hillsong that is under like crazy like investigations right now.
right, like a lot
They're
of
all
pastors.
connected, bro. And I'm like, hey, 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 we know his, I guess it would be cousin,
Yeah.
Benny.
Maybe. How many lenses are in Wisconsin? Wisconsin.
Yeah, but how many lenses are in Wisconsin that come from one of 12 kids?
I don't what lens what yeah, what part of the world is the name Lens from? That's the key. Because if it's like I don't know.
I I don't know either, but it was
It
just to
sounds
me
like
it
a
was
farmer type name, and there's a lot of farmers in Wisconsin.
it was significant because, you know, connecting the dots of being like,
All right,
dude,
all
you
right. So story
seriously?
number two, bro. You said don't let you forget. You got two stories.
All right, man.
You see that new the new documentary coming out about ATI?
Oh, no, I did not, but I'm going to definitely check that
It
out,
just
dude.
they just dropped a trailer. I didn't watch it, but it had like I don't know.
All
It
right.
had some of the Duggar kids in it.
Tucker kids. Oh, that's the one about the Duggar one. Yeah, yeah, I got you. I actually did see a read up about that the other day.
Yeah.
But all right. So the other story happened. If you guys haven't seen the new movie on Amazon Prime, it's called Air, right?
Oh yeah. I
It's
know.
about
I
the
keep seeing
story of
the
how they decided to go
commercials.
with Michael Jordan,
Yeah, it's
how
got
it
Ben
changed
Affleck
everything.
and Matt Damon.
Oh, bro, it's hilarious. It's great. Anyway, so I'm watching the show, and Matt Damon comes to this point in the show, right, where he can't make the decision if he's going to go after Michael Jordan, and he's trying to convince everybody to go Michael Jordan. So he's got this what he calls his ace in the hole, who was a Villanova graduate, who is an Olympic gold medalist, who I believe was a champion, or won a ring. I forget with who, but anyways, the guy's name is Revere, George Revere. He actually goes down and talks to him. And George Revere tells this crazy fucking story, right? And at first I was like, there's no way. This is just like beefed up for the, the movie. So I stopped the movie and paused it. And then I started doing my own research on George Revere because I was like, this story is crazy. And George decided when he was a young man at Villanova, decided to go to DC. And there was this gathering that was happening at the foot of Abraham Lincoln's feet. So he gets there and he's a big guy. He was going to Villanova, like I said, to play basketball. So when they saw that he was a big guy, they asked him to be security to stand up on the stage to make sure that they protected the speaker. So he agreed to it and he gets up there and he listens to the speaker. And when the speaker was done, he goes to them and says, sir, that was the greatest speech I've ever heard. And he goes, thank you, young man. Opens George's jacket, puts the speech in George's pocket, taps it, and walks away. Right? And George says that immediately he was like, blown away by the generosity of this man. It was just like, what in the world? And he was like, the speech moved me so much. I wanted to read the speech and find my favorite spot. But as he's looking for his favorite spot, right, he can't find it. He can't find the phrase, I have a dream. And he goes and he's wondering why he can't. And then he remembers in the back of his head as he's replaying the whole scenario that Martin Luther King was losing the audience in the middle of his speech. And instead of continuing with his speech, he goes out of right field and brings something completely different out. And George was sitting there and witnessing it. And then George had the speech in his pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And he's telling Matt Damon this, or the Nike guy that was trying to figure this out. And it helped him because here he is trying to close Michael Jordan in this scenario. They have this video of Michael Jordan and everybody's getting lost. And he reads the room and he tells us shut down the video. He's like, shut it off. This is stupid. And he takes over the meeting and he lays out to Michael Jordan the future of the NBA and why Michael Jordan was so important to the Nike brand and why they'd be willing to give him a percentage of every Nike shoe that sold. It was completely different, bro. It was so crazy, so weird. And that's when I started thinking about it, bro, is, Matt Damon sitting there and telling everybody Michael Jordan's it. This is why Michael Jordan's it. At 18 years old, James Worthy's on the team. He's an all-star. He's going to be a top 5 pick. He's one of the best athletes coming out. He's a senior. And what does Dean Smith do? The last seconds of the game, when Michael Jordan's a freshman, 18 years old, he goes to Michael Jordan for a shot. Now, everybody watched the play and they said, oh, there was a breakdown. James Worthy wasn't open. They double teamed him. No, the play was drawn up for Michael Jordan. And when it all came to pass and it was all vision, like that was it. It was Michael Jordan's team. That's when the Nike people jumped on it. And I keep going back to you and I sitting in Lake Erie, Pennsylvania, bro. And I'm like, watch Poku, bro. Watch Poku. You got to watch Poku. And you're like, I'm sick and tired of watching Poku. Please stop making me watch Poku. Like, I have the same love for this team as a lot of other people do. But the fact is, man, I see this team in such a beautiful light that I feel like I'm a Nike executive saying, we have to go with Michael Jordan. Like, we have to stay with Poku. We have to stay with Osman Jang. We have to stay with J-Dub. These guys are the future. And it's insane to me that, we're still sitting here, trying to make this team better through the draft and the, picking up players that nobody else wants. Because the future of this team isn't going to be doing that. The future of the team is already on this team, man. We already have the future of this team on this team.
All right, dude. Yeah, you got me all pumped up. But listen, dude, here's the deal. That is true, but we have to find a way to do something that nobody else has ever done before. We have to get this team to be a contender and still add elite talent. One of the ways to do that is, this brings me back to the whole conversation yesterday about Nick Smith. Nick Smith Jr., a projected top 5 pick coming into the season, ends up slipping to, right now, he looks like he could go 12 or 13.
Yeah, I think he'll be picked before then, but yeah.
And there's other examples, basically we need to find top 5 talent, like in Usman Jang. If he had stuck around, maybe gone to college, he could have been a top 5 pick. J-Dub, right? He had the chance, if he had, been at a bigger college, he could have been a top 5 pick. Find top 5 talent, develop that talent. But you're making it to the conference finals and you're still developing top 5 talent. Can you balance that?
Oh, absolutely. But that's the thing, though, is that that's why the G League is so important, man. Here's the thing: if we have top 5 talent that's coming in, and we're saying every year, and we're saying to them, listen, the only way to get playing time in this team is through the G League, because to me, that's what Sam Presti's been setting this whole thing up. Think about it. Sam Presti's been on the front line saying G League needs to happen, that we can swing players back and forth. Then he says G League needs to happen so that we can have 2-way players. And then G League needs to happen so that we can have 3 2-way players. Mm-hmm. This is Sam Presti, guys. It's important to see the G League as leading up to what needs to happen for this team, because it's that 2-way player and the first round players and all those other guys that are going to be going through that G League that are going to have the cohesive spirit. So when they go on the 3rd string or they go on the 2nd string, they already know everybody and where they're supposed to go. It's the future of the NBA. And that's why all of a sudden Portland's like, fuck, we're behind. What are we going to do to catch up? We can't not have a G League. We're so far behind right now. And I think that's why it's so important that we have to continue watching how Sam Presti's going to change the entire G League scheme. And if we're looking at people that would be really fucking stupid to put a top 5 player in the G League for half a year or 2 years. No, why? Or a year. Why? Why would it be stupid? Why? It's not stupid because you're giving another opportunity to take a step up from whether it's the NBL, whether it's college ball, whether it's whatever. You're taking a step up, playing more minutes, harder competition in the G League. You know, like yes, the G League, I wouldn't call it as good as the NBL, but you're learning the system that you're going to be playing in that G League. So it's more profitable for you to be playing in the G League for a year, learning the system, and then putting you in the games. It's not going to be like it was with J-Dub, where J-Dub automatically gets 10 minutes a game, then 12 minutes a game, and then all of a sudden next thing you know, he's starting. Things aren't going to be like that anymore.
It could be.
You think so?
I mean, yeah, I do. I think J-Dub's experience is totally repeatable. I think we need to always be drafting for 5 years from now, but
yes.
Sometimes you'll trip into a player that's ready to play right away, and you can't be like, oh, we don't have a system that's available for that spot. So yeah, I think you draft the best long-term, highest potential, but sometimes that might also be the best player in that moment too.
True.
So I think that there's a really beautiful opportunity, also to consolidate without giving up premium draft picks. Like we did with the Knicks, and that's how we got J-Dub.
Yeah.
Jang and J-Dub.
You're right, dude.
I think
absolutely.
Those are the fascinating types of situations that we can do. Who do we want to pick at 12?
What's up, Tony?
We keep peeling back layer by layer the different names that seem relevant in the moment.
But I want to throw this in here. With that being said, is that because this is such a crazy draft, no matter the name that we're going to pick, we're going to have people that are going to be like, there's no way the Thunder are going to pick this guy.
Hey, so last time we were talking, bro, you said that you felt there was between 4 and 20, there wasn't much of a difference. And I was looking at the draft charts, and I really wanted to kind of break that down with you because I think there's a significant drop-off right around 14.
Yes, but no, there's not. And this is the reason why. Is because the players that are after 14 are those guys like Rayan, Billa.
No, those are all like, to me, those are top 14.
Okay. All right. So if those guys are all top 14, then I mean that's the problem is that like who are we taking out of the top 14 to replace those guys? Because those guys right now in pretty much every ranking are outside the top 14.
So I guess kind of to answer Tony's question personally, this is just myself based on how I feel about the draft is if we were at 14 or 15, we would probably try to move to 12.
Yeah.
Sitting at 12, I think you get your pick of that middle group. I think there's going to be a really good player available at 12. And
absolutely.
one of the guys,
not just absolutely. There's 100% chance that there'll be a player that's going to develop into a very, very good player.
One of the guys I'd like to see, and I have trouble saying everybody's name until I've heard it for a little while, but he went to the same school as J-Dub. Shit, dude, the Broncos. I can't think of their name right now, Dave. Santa Clara, right?
Santa Clara, yeah.
Brandin Podziemski. All right, so
is he that white point guard?
Right, and he's from Wisconsin.
Dude, I watched him play some games.
Okay, so here's the two comps, right? I was really impressed with his game.
He played 1 year though for them, right?
Yeah, and I heard he's killing it at the combine. He put up a 39-inch vertical.
Numbers. A what?
39-inch vertical. And people were like shocked, and he's just like, well, I only use my athleticism when I need to. So to me, like I look at him as he's left-handed, right? He's extremely efficient at getting to his shot and his spots. He can finish at the basket, so I think he's a legit 3-level scorer. But with that, I mean, the 39-inch vertical is kind of surprising because he isn't someone that you saw finish at the basket a lot, and at least in the highlights I watched, because that's all I'm going off of these highlight packages. His weapon was that 3-point shot. Like I felt like I was watching two different players with the name Tyler. One a guy Tyler Hero. I felt like he was a little bit like Tyler Hero, but then you wonder maybe he ends up like Tyler Johnson, the guy from Miami who they ended up giving like $50 million to, and he never really like panned out. I don't know where he's gonna fall, But I think with that level of athleticism, the fact that we have the Santa Clara connection makes me think that he really could be that type of pick. So at this
I like
point,
him, dude.
I do too. At this point, he's moving up.
And he's older too. He's not young. Right?
He played, I think they said a year at Illinois, but didn't play much, and then transferred to.
So he's like 20.
So
something like that.
I'm impressed though with his ability to knock down the shot as a left-handed guy. Like there's something about a sweet lefty stroke.
I mean, look at Shea. Yeah.
Shea's right-handed, bro.
Bro, you can make me look this up. You made me feel
You
stupid.
shouldn't have to look it up, bro. This
Dude,
is like
he's a left-handed, bro.
Nah, dude, Shea's not a lefty.
All right.
Dude,
Shea.
I'm just gonna sit here and let you
All right, man.
look it up because we might as well. It's gonna be fun for you to realize. This is great, high quality stuff here.
This is crazy, bro.
What? It says
He is right-handed on his jump shot, but he dribbles more with his left hand, prefers to go left.
Well, yeah, I know he prefers to go.
Which
left.
I've always watched him go like left to the middle, and I'm always like, from the right side, I'm always like, oh man, he's left-handed. But you're right, his jump shot is all right-handed.
Well, that's such an advantage too. Like,
man, I'm like, listen, I gotta say, call you out. I'm 0 for 2. I called the Sydney Swans. I know the difference between the Swans and the Kings, man. One's AFL, obviously, but for whatever reason, I kept on saying Swans.
I know what it is, bro. The fact that you even know that there's something called the Sydney Swans proves that you are paying way more attention to what's happening in Australia than most of us. Because I was like, oh yeah, Sydney Swans.
No, it's the Kings, man. It's so stupid because I was watching the film and I'm watching the Kings logo and I was like that reminds me of the Sacramento Kings. Like, fuck that shit, man. I should have known the difference.
Swans,
I apologize. Dude. 0 for 2.
And the thing is, it is a real team. It's just an Australian rules football team. For all our American friends out there listening, guys, Australian rules football is dope. And
it is amazing.
Dave's into it, and so sometimes he says stuff like Sydney
Man,
Swans.
those shorts on those dudes, man, that's what the NBA needs to have, bro. Tiny and short.
All right.
Shorts.
Like, could you imagine if they ended up doing like girls volleyball shorts on the NBA players?
You mean like beach volleyball?
No.
Oh, damn it.
I'm just talking like indoor volleyball, bro. The ones that look like they're painted on.
What? Fuck it, man. Why don't we just go straight up paint, bro? They're gonna only play in the paint.
Everybody knows that. Like, I mean, do you remember those old commercials? I forget what TV show it was, like Roseanne or something, and they were always like talking about John Stockton's short shorts.
Oh yeah.
Like, I like to watch the guys. Now they're coming back though. We got Wiggins. We got a few guys out there.
J-Dub, man. J-Dub's got them. He, like, as the game goes on, those shorts get shorter and shorter and shorter.
Okay, so let's talk about this Blazers pick. It's a lie. Do not believe the hype. It is a distraction. It is less available. Hear me out. Less available than the Kings pick. And everybody talked about the Kings pick was up for grabs last year. They didn't know if they wanted to pick somebody. They ended up going with Murray. They wanted him. Yes, it was up for grabs, but you were going to have to pay a ransom for that fucker, right? And they wanted too high of a price because people wanted that spot. And that's what's going on right now with the Blazers. The Blazers do not want to trade that pick. That's a higher pick than where they picked Dame at.
Yeah.
That's a complete rebuild of their franchise based on how rarely they get elite.
I would consider
picks.
that there's more chance that Dame gets traded on draft night than they trade that for.
Yeah. 4? It's at 4? Okay, my bad. I think
3. 3. No, wait.
Yeah, I think Houston's at
3.
4.
4.
And 3 is an amazing pick. And look, I get it. People are like, oh, this draft isn't all that deep. They can pick their guy wherever they're at, like 3 or 4. It doesn't matter. They're not basing their shit off of our draft boards. And they're extremely efficient in picking high draft picks.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you got to look at if I'm Damian Lillard, I've got to look at 3 teams in the NBA that I'm like, hey, listen, if they get offered a trade, I got to go. Right. Like you got to look at
Sam. What's up?
You got to look at Houston.
Tony? Yeah,
bro. All right, let's just be honest. If I'm Houston, I'm calling Portland. And I'm saying I'm willing to give you 4th pick. Thank you, Kevin Scott. 4th pick I'm willing to give you the 4th pick for Damian Lillard and blank amount of picks as well, because I 100% believe that the Houston Rockets are going after James Harden in this offseason, and they need to bring one more player on.
Bullshit. It's
bullshit.
not.
You know why it's not? Because all this stuff is coming out of James Harden's camp. It's not
exactly.
Houston.
It's coming
and that's the thing, though, is that if they're using this and they're saying, Houston, we want to come back, I don't think Houston can say no.
Here's my question. Does Houston have Stockholm syndrome?
Well,
because they're like getting out of this abusive relationship. They go around, they tell everybody how abusive James Harden was to the franchise. And then they're like, first thing they can do is like, please take us back. Please take us back.
I know it seems so strange, but that's what I keep on thinking is like what's real and what's not. Like, is this something that we're going to be looking at and saying the Houston Rockets are looking at it and saying, you know, if we added Dame and we added James Harden with this young core, we could actually be really good.
Okay, so this is like seeing your ex at a bar, okay? And you're in a relationship, right? And she looks at you like, I would take you back, but you're in a relationship. So you believe her. That look that she didn't really tell you anything, right? But she was just like kind of jealous of the other girl. So that's what's happening right now. Houston gets all the way to the conference semifinals and actually does a damn good job. Not Houston, I'm sorry, Harden. And Houston's like looking at him like, hey, could you take us that far? And he's like, maybe. And then he decides to break up with Philly. And
but I'm saying,
they're like, actually,
what
we're
other
good.
team?
And he's sitting there being like,
what other team would be a good
nobody
fit
there
for Damian Lillard to go compete right now at? There's no other team that has the picks, has the young assets, and has everything else in place if James Harden were to come for Damian. There's no other teams that can afford it. So I keep going back to it. It's like, how could this work out? Well, it could work out if James and Damian Lillard are on the side saying, this is what we want to have a team together. And Houston, I get it. But what does Houston do consistently? They make poor decisions.
Okay, but
look at, they traded, I'm sorry, I hate saying this, but they traded Chris Paul for Russ and 2 picks.
This is not them. They're not going to do, they understand the value of actually rebuilding a franchise.
Okay. All right. I'm telling you, man, I get this creepy feeling and I'm all for it because I'm all for Houston Rockets like blowing their shit up again, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I am too. I just like, yeah.
I hear you, man.
Boston wanting Dame. Look, they want some answers in Boston. They do have what it takes to trade for Dame. It would be an incredible restart for Portland to start out with Jaylen Brown. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
But he's going to, I mean, I just can't.
You're going to have to give up the 3rd pick and Jaylen Brown to get Dame. I'm sorry, the 3rd pick. I'm sorry. You're going to have to give up a lot to get Dame. You're going to have to give up a lot to get Dame.
Well, here's the thing. One of the advantages Boston would have, I think, is that like I don't think you're paying Dame as much as Brown.
No. Dame is getting an insane amount of money, bro. Like, there's no doubt about it. And Brown is going to get a super max, which is going to be like $300 and something million.
I thought he was going to get 215, but it might be 3
because of the new CBA is it's 300 and something million that a max. So he's up for that. So you're right. If you're looking at the contract size, they're really close to each other by the time that Jaylen Brown signs that.
It seems like a Hail Mary, and it would shorten Boston's timeline because who knows how long Dame can stay healthy for. Like, we really don't know.
No.
But like you said, it's more likely they're trading Dame than that pick because that pick is incredible. If they could keep the 3rd pick and have Jaylen Brown, they would be in such a good position.
Oh, bro, it would be huge for them.
Yeah, but also one of the things that teams like the teams that are really doing rebuilds really, really well right now, they're doing is they're adding a few extra picks by trading out players. Like the first thing the Jazz did when they started the rebuild, if you remember Brian Windhorst like going all like, think about it, right? He was like, they traded Royce O'Neal. When they traded Royce O'Neal, he was like, watch out, guys, because it was a 1st round pick. They need to add a few 1st round picks for 3 to 5 years out of here. Not as many as the Thunder can do because they just don't have.
Well, but they have a significant amount of picks from their trade that they made to the Pelicans.
They have some. But
I'd say like 3, right?
they need 7. They need 8.
So they got 3. So they need 4 more from whomever.
Well, it's gonna have to be Jeremy Grant. What can they get from him? I like Drew Eubanks. I think they should try to hang on to him. I would get rid of Anthony Simon. I would try to get a couple of picks for him, but they probably won't do that. Like,
No, he's young. I think he's 23, 24.
Do something to add picks as far into the future as possible, so that if you get to the point where you're trying to contend and you have a couple of top 5 picks that happen to roll your way, top 10 picks, it can really make a difference. It's impossible to add the talent unless you're New York or LA, and even those teams have had trouble adding that talent.
Would you trade Paul George for Damian? Because here's the reality. There's going to be 2 or 3 teams that there's going to be some serious interest, because if they weren't able to get out of their first round or even second round.
If I was Portland, I wouldn't want Paul George.
I know, I wouldn't. I think that you could probably get 2 first rounds for him.
Younger. I want somebody about.
You would have to be able to
additional in their prime left.
You would have to get a similar situation from the Thunder got for Chris Paul. So you got 2 picks to take Chris Paul, and then we gave up, or we got 2 picks to trade Chris Paul. We got 4 out of it. We maximized picks because of it. You know,
it's incredible. It's like just talking about it makes me a little bit high.
Well, and think about it even better is that the reason that I think that Houston doesn't want to roll the dice next year is because we own their pick if it's not top 4. And guess where they're at right now? 4. Woo-hoo. So
gotta know when to hold them.
So if you're looking at it saying, fuck this, let's just make the conference finals in 1 year, or whatever in 1 year. Fuck the pick over. Like, I get it. It's not what normal people would do. But then again, it's Houston saying we're not getting our pick anyways.
That's a good point. A 1 year, fuck the Thunder.
Fuck the Thunder, bro. I mean, it costs you what?
Here's the thing. They would just be fucking themselves. Or that would be the classic Houston. Because in the end, there's no way James Harden can be enough to lead them to a good enough regular season at this point. He looks uninspired, out of shape, and
because he missed the Houston strip clubs, bro.
Dude, tell me Philly doesn't have strip clubs, bro?
Not like Houston, man. I mean, being honest, like if you how do I say this?
They're
politely?
janky, bro. I know, but so
it's there's the old speakeasy strip clubs, and then there's the nice, classy Texas brand new strip clubs. And like, with all due respect, like to a guy that's spending $1 million at a strip club a year, like size does matter. And the more strippers in the club is the
Yeah, but I'm telling you, like, if I was Houston, like Carson's saying, they just ruin their franchise, their the future, their rebuild. They have some good things going for them.
But how many times have we seen Houston do this before? Have things going and all of a sudden be like, "Oh, squirrel!" And they have new ownership that is still trying to figure it out.
That new ownership, though, Tillman. Okay, I used to watch a TV show that he was on, $1 Million Buyer.
Yeah.
I think he understands a couple of things. Like, he was ready to rebuild. He understood leaning into the rebuild. Although it was interesting, before he did that, they took the misstep of trading for Russell Westbrook, was to our benefit. But, I mean, then they were all like, oh my gosh, James Harden was the problem. I think at this point, if you're Tillman, you're looking at the Kings. Now, people used to scoff at their owner. I can't remember his name, right? But he used to talk about the Kings as being a young super team. He had Fox. He had Buddy Hield. He had, kind of like, to him, what was considering a young, really good core. And it seemed like a joke. And then they traded and they got Sabonis. And all of a sudden, like, things started working. Like, I really like Halliburton. I think he's probably one of the, top 10 young guards in the league. And I think he's going to have an incredible career. So I think it was a huge risk, but it got them to be relevant immediately. I think if you're Tillman, you have to look at a team like that and say, like, lean into development. There are bad years. It sucks that you might give up that pick to the Thunder, but they have no risk of, like, they're going to be a bottom 3 team again, bro.
But
That's
they're giving
not
up
gonna be
that pick
solved with this
to the
pick.
Thunder, but they also have picks coming in. You know what I'm saying? So like it's not.
They should just be like, all right, man.
Here's
Like-
the thing: even if they pick up the 4th pick, and let's just say for all shits and giggles, it's Amir Thompson.
Right, that's what it's going to be, right?
Yeah, I think so. And when I say there's not much difference between 4, I really should back that up. There's a difference between 5, because Amir Thompson, I would consider just missing out in that top group. You know, he's really good. Amir Johnson, whatever his name is, I'm not saying his name right.
Yeah, man. Like,
One of the twins.
They're twins.
And so for me, I'm looking at that and I'm saying, that's probably where number 4 goes to. So
I've seen some people rank the better one at 4 and then the other one behind, like all the way back at like 8 or 9.
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of rankings that they're 4 and 5.
I've seen
which
4
I
and
think
5.
is
It's
lazy.
all over the board.
I don't know though.
How many times have I looked at a ranking? And that's why I typically I already have what I would consider a, top at least 7 people, And I'm at top 3 right now. It's like, I'm pretty sure it's going to go 1, Victor, 2, Brandin Clark, 3, Scooter Henderson. After that, I'm like, it could be, I'm probably Amir Thompson, right?
Yeah.
And then at 5, it could go one of 8 different ways. And I've never seen that before. Like, we knew last year that was pretty certain that, the people that were set through, 9, we could tell you who it was. But this year, it's strange, man. Like, I keep on trying to sit down and work it out, and I pull up other people's rankings, and it's like, whoa, this guy has this guy at 5, and this guy has this guy at 9.
Yeah.
Or 11. And it's like, what? Like, strange, bro. It is really, because these guys are experts. And I'm looking at ESPN rankings. I'm looking at, every major newspaper and, column for rankings. And they're all fucked. They're all weird. And it's because this year is special. This year is going to be fun for the draft. This year is going to be one of those years that if the Thunder are able to pick up 2 picks again in the top 12, man, it's going to be exciting. If the Thunder just get 1, or we move up, or we just stay on pat, it doesn't matter, because this is the year that people are going to fall that should have no place falling 5, 6 spots. And the Thunder will be sitting there being like, well, like, listen,
So
if a player like Ben Mathurin was in the draft this year, right?
yeah.
I would feel like he would have an opportunity to slip in this draft because people would be so focused on this player or that player. And it's so crazy that a player like Ben could slip to a 12th spot.
Interesting.
And
All right, so
I've never seen something like this before.
let's talk about what Sam's saying here. So will Charlotte skip out on Scoot because they want to avoid, crowding the backcourt with LaMelo back there? Or do you think they'll go ahead and go with Scoot and end up with a dynamic backcourt?
Well, it comes back down to who you're going to get. So if Portland goes out there and is able to pick up a premier free agent, right? And then they're able to pick up a player
So
through
Charlotte
the trade.
picks at 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So if this is, I mean, again, it just comes back down to where this team is picking, right? If they're trading their pick, number 3, to get another star on their team to surround Damian because they went out and got DB, or they went out and got James Harden to go on that Portland team, and now they need one more player to surround themselves, I could see that.
But what about Charlotte? Does Charlotte avoid teaming up LaMelo with Scoot? That seems to be the consensus, what people assume. I think if I was in that spot, I would pick Scoot anyway.
I would pick Scoot too, but here's the thing. If I have an opportunity to add another player like Jaylen Brown to my squad, for the 3rd pick and some other picks and maybe Anthony Simons or whatever the case is, like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go out there and make a trade to add to this team if Damian Lillard is going to stay and number 3 is going.
Okay, so you're saying if they keep it,
If they keep it, it's because they've got another premier person, or they're rebuilding. If they're keeping, they're rebuilding.
If Scoot slips to 3,
yeah,
and Portland grabs him,
yeah,
it's over for Dame, isn't it?
Yeah, his end is near.
Cause I mean, like that's
it.
I mean, run them out together. Do you ever let them play the same game?
Listen again. If Scoot's available at 3, and you're looking at Damian Lillard, and you're saying, "Hey, Dame, thanks for all the years. First of all, you always have a home here, but we're going to develop. If you want to be part of the development squad, and recognizing that you'll never be all NBA team again, or in the top 5 for MVP voting or anything like that, you can be part of that because you've earned that."
But Scoot's going to get 25 shots tonight.
But Scoot is going to take over. He's going to be a main guy, and I'm sorry, but
this is like Aaron Rodgers showing up and kicking Brett Favre off after a little bit. But this will happen right away.
You've got to look at these situations like this, man.
There's no transition here.
Like he's 32. Dame's 32 and had a crazy injury-prone years. I would say the last 3 years have been crazy injury-prone. 4 years. You got to look at it and say, if he gets injured beginning of the season, halfway through the season, no one will ever take his contract, and we'll have to sit on his contract the rest of the time. It's worth it if you have other players surrounding him. It's worth it. But if you don't have anybody else around him, and it's just Damian going out there again, and you're going to be a top 4 pick, why are you going to do that to Damian? He doesn't deserve that, unless he's cool with being part of the developmental squad. Surround.
He's not.
Scoot Henderson. And he's not going to be cool with that. And that's why it's going to be him being traded. But I look at it and it's like, what team on draft night would want to trade for Damian, and that's a top 5 pick?
I've never seen so much pressure, public pressure, be put on a team to trade it, like the 3rd pick in the draft. It's like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But it's like, hey, we want to win now. Who can we get to win now? This is for Dame. Like, fuck that shit, man. The 3rd pick in the draft, like Dame had his best scoring year, and I get it, whatever. But like the 3rd pick in the draft proves to me that you're not like one step away from a championship. So don't trade it. This is the beginning of a rebuild. You have a chance to have a rebuild and have Dame on your team.
I'm telling you guys,
you score the 3rd pick in the draft, plus you get to dump Dame's contract, and it still has some value at this moment because he had a hell of a year. Do it.
Listen, you could get number 4 pick from the Houston Rockets, and you could get one of their young assets.
Dame's worth more than Russ was whenever.
Yes, but this is a new CBA. It's not going to be as easy trading these players. Everybody's going to be trying to trade players, bro.
Dude,
like everybody. It's going to be like, hey, will you take this? We'll give you 2 draft picks for this.
Somehow Chris Paul was seen as a bad contract, and Russ wasn't seen as bad, but some people knew it was. But trade him for a bad contract and 4 picks. People will do that. Who's the worst contract on a team like, I don't know, the Celtics, or I don't know.
Man, you could get some. I mean, Lakers have no assets, so you can't really go there. You do have, Clippers. If you wanted to go play for the Clippers,
why not?
I would consider even Denver a possibility, bro. Like Denver has enough tradable players, especially with Gordon not being as effective. And you add again. This is all speculation because you'd have to have the right scenario and the right people coughing up the money to get Damian Lillard. But there's going to be teams that are going to be willing to take it because his price isn't going to be as high as everybody might think, because people are going to drive down the price. It's not going to be like, hey, I need 4 first-rounders. It's going to be like, well, I can give you 2 first-rounders and a player that you may be able to play for 1 year and get 2 first-rounders after. And that's the type of the risk you're going to have to take. And that means that there's going to be teams, like you said, the Knicks and other teams like that are going to be in that mix for it, because the price isn't going to be so astronomical that, it automatically puts teams out. Because if price is going to be astronomical, there's only like 3 teams that can afford it. You got the Pelicans, right? You've got Boston wouldn't even have enough, man. That's why I keep going back to, they wouldn't have enough to trade for him. Just Brown isn't enough. Like, you have the Houston Rockets, right? They have enough. But again, astronomical prices means that you're ready to go compete. And how many teams are going to be willing to compete right away and pay that price? I just have a hard time like grasping where some of these players are going to go. Like, think about the Golden State Warriors. Like, they're in panic mode right now. How do we shave $100 million off of our salary cap? 62 of that right there is Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins. 62 of that. So still have to shave $38 million. Well, how do you do that? You can't say that they're not going to be looking at trading one of their old assets, aka Steph or Clay or Draymond Green, because that puts them at that place that they're almost at $100 million when you trade that asset, or over the $100 million. Like, teams are going to be looking at this and saying, we got to trade this player. We got to trade this player. We got to get rid of these players because we got to get under that salary cap. Otherwise, we won't be able to compete for a decade. And everybody's going to be panic mode. And so a team like Portland might be able to say, yeah, well, Houston's offering us a 4th pick and a future pick that's protected, right? Mm-hmm. And one young asset. And that might be the best offer they get. Mm-hmm. Because everybody else is like, we can't, like the Golden State Warriors, what are you going to do? Trade the Golden State Warriors for 60 million of their players? Get no assets back? Do you want to take Jordan Poole and Aaron Wiggins in return for Dame? Hell no. Hell no. So it's going to be a doggy world, and people that'll be willing to take less to get rid of players that are higher paying. And it's going to be something we've never, ever seen before. And that's why I get so amped up, is because this is the exact thing the Thunder are waiting for. A player that is incredibly valuable on any normal market year is going to be so valuable that they might only have to give up a 2nd-round pick for him, when before they might have to give up 2 or 3 first-round picks, because everybody's going to be so desperate to shave money.
So, like, players that were suspect in the playoffs, like you mentioned, Wiggins and Poole, and the Knicks, maybe like Randall, and I don't know that Barrett was suspect, but I think in the end, when you compare him to a player like Dame, who's playoff proven, like,
yeah,
do those other guys have negative value if they were going to try to trade? Like, is Randall negative because of the playoff he had, or does the fact that he had a good regular season make him still like a net positive in a trade package?
I don't know. Like, it's such a weird offseason. I just don't know, man. Like, I can only predict about how valuable players will be versus how valuable players will not be. Mm-hmm. And if I'm telling you that Damian Lillard is worth a top 4 pick, 1 future pick, and 1 young asset, and he's probably the most valuable tradable asset on the market, like, I don't think people are going to be handing out 1st-round draft picks for somebody like DeAndre Ayton. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think they'll be more concerned about taking back a player that's able to help them right away with a more team-friendly contract, giving them the flexibility. But as far as giving them a 1st-round draft pick for a player like DeAndre Ayton, like, you're going to see teams be like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to spend that much money for a player and give a 1st-round draft pick for him. And it's going to be strange, man. It's going to be, people are going to be like, well, how desperate are we to play to get under the salary cap? Because if we're that desperate, we're going to have to attach 1st-round draft picks to him.
Right. That's what I'm thinking.
It's the opposite of what they're wanting to do. Because if you're getting a player like DeAndre Ayton, you're like, well, I hope I get 2 1st-round draft picks for him or more. But if people are like looking at it and saying, no, I'm not paying him $32 million a year, whatever it is. And on top of that, I'm not paying him to do that. People are going to just, they'll be like, pass. And then they're going to be like, well, if we want to get rid of DeAndre Ayton, then we're going to have to go and give people picks to take him. Or we're going to have to take back his shitty ass contract.
Now, Ayton, I think, can just walk at this point, but I'm not for sure. No,
he's not. He signed that contract with.
Oh, that's right.
He was like all over it because of. But okay. I think Monty Williams being fired also helps DeAndre as well. So I don't think necessarily he's going to be the target to get rid of. I'm just using him as an example because people are going to be desperate.
New ownership, team that's been really consistent, comes in and tries to make their stamp and gets rid of a coach that things could start getting rocky, but we'll see. Bring in a good coach and we'll see what happens. So let's talk about this game that happened last night.
Yeah.
Once again, I'll have to admit, I only got through the first quarter before I went to bed. That is a sad admission for me, but we saw the Celtics let it slip.
Fourth quarter, bro.
I watched the highlights and it was brutal. It was excruciating for Boston, but in the end, it was, you shouldn't have poked the bear. What have we learned this playoff? Bro, Jimmy Butler, Grant Williams talking trash, going head to head. Highlight is the highlight so far of the conference finals, bro. It really is. Classic,
man. I mean,
and
what
Grant
else?
Williams said in the post game, "I poked a bear," or whatever you want to say. He said it, bro.
But with Jimmy Butler, like,
poke the bear.
I've never seen a player that you don't want to do that. I mean, Jordan was one of those players, I guess.
Oh yeah, I know. Like there were certain ones that,
but there's like Kobe. Kobe was one of those guys that if you poked him, bro, it would be like what the hell, you know?
Like he didn't need any more, fuel for that fire because, like, I heard Jimmy. I read it. I didn't actually hear what he said, but I read that he said that the interaction with Grant Williams spurred his competitive edge. I'm like, you're in the fucking conference finals. Like, you don't need your competitive edge to be spurred, first of all. Second of all, if you're dumb enough to get into that situation and your team does lose, and then the guy points at you and you're like, oh yeah, it was him, then your whole fan base is gonna be pissed off at you.
Yeah.
And I get it, Grant Williams is a competitor, but sometimes you just gotta like recognize, like, let it be. Let it be, because it's gonna be what people will talk about the next day. And rightfully so. But in the end, man, Jimmy's
an instigator. He was going to go after any Celtic that was going to play along. Unfortunately, he picked on Grant Williams all game long enough to snap him. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the way that Jimmy does things. He recognizes that he feeds off of that energy. So what does he do? He just keeps on going at people, talking trash, talking all this other stuff. And then finally, they snap. And that's what I love about Jimmy. Like, how many times have you seen Jimmy give somebody an elbow?
Like, every game.
Every game. And it's just like constant, like pulling down their shorts. I mean, he's constantly in people's heads. He's not dirty by any stretch of the imagination. He's just at a different level competitively than anybody else out there right now. And you're seeing it happen, right in front of us against the Celtics, man. Like, the Celtics are just like, well, how do we stop him? How do we stop him? Like Giannis, last year or 2 years ago. And, last year they couldn't stop Steph and everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is just what's happening. They're running up against the wall because they don't know how to play against the higher competition, a more intense competition. I thought that they learned it last year, but the offseason really fucked the Celtics, bro. Fucked them. Otherwise, they would be all right. Now everybody's looking at it saying, how do we tear down the Celtics team to make it so that Tatum can actually have a chance to win, where they don't recognize the best thing for them to do is stand fast because the NBA is getting old and it's transitioning. If they just kept the players they did, they eventually win at least one championship.
For sure. And Carson, like, what I'm thinking here is, first of all, the difference right now between the two series is pretty significant. I know that they're both 2-0, but winning 2 on the opposing team's home court is, for a 1 versus 8 seed, it's really unprecedented.
No, it's never heard of.
All right, so that's the first thing. Miami has a series like on a vice grip. They got it by the balls. And now I'm not saying that they'll let it slip. Like, they might, because the Celtics are obviously the number 1 seed. They could go into Miami, win 2 games. They're the 2 seed. All right, so the Bucks were 1. I'm sorry, but
you're good.
They're the best seed left, right? They're playing like a 1 seed. There you go.
Yeah.
But what's happening though with the Nuggets and Heat series is that we've seen a lot of really good, in fact, great teams go down 2 games at the opposing team's stadium, go back and win the 2 at their home, and make it a 3-game series. Like, so I'm expecting that somewhat to happen. I think
Bro,
the Lakers are
the
going to
coaches lost the players for Boston. I don't know if they have it right now.
Right.
I'll be honest with you. It might be one of the biggest upsets ever, getting to the Heat, where they could literally sweep the Boston Celtics, and something that's be completely unheard of and talked about for 100 years from now as being one of the greatest upsets in sports history. Because when an 8 seed comes in,
Right.
weren't
punches
they
them in the mouth.
Well, I mean, it's just insane, bro. I love it.
Like,
I love
heard
it. That's why I wanted the Lakers to win, and I hate it when people are like, "Oh, hate the Lakers." Yes, it's not the Lakers; it's the seed, right? God, that sounds dirty. It's the seed that they are, the 7 seed, right? I want to see an 8 versus 7 seed in the playoffs. Right. I want to see it so bad because it proves how valuable that play-in game is. I've been saying it since day one.
Right. It's not.
I want to see it.
It's not over for the
because
Lakers.
It's exciting, man. Look at it. Like, the Heat have a chance to go and win a championship as an 8 seed. Like, what are we talking about, man? Like, what are we talking about? We're talking about an 8 seed having a legit chance to win an NBA championship. Like, this is mind blowing to me. Like, I can sit here and say it over and over and over again. Like, when you had teams in Major League Baseball that were, wild card, that were coming in and all of a sudden, winning championships, you're like, holy cow, that wild card was the greatest thing that ever happened in Major League Baseball. Mm-hmm. And now we open it up for this, the way that the NBA does it. And now we're all sitting here saying, this could have been the greatest thing for the NBA. This could have been. Because if a 7 or 8 seed wins the championship, it changes the dynamics of how everybody is going to prepare for the playoffs.
So I'm looking at the upcoming schedule because it's early, guys, here for us. We got on a bit early because, figured get this going while it's raining outside. So we got tomorrow, we're talking 8:30 p.m. Okay. Crazy, dude. Why would they do that? Why not do a day game? I love day games on Sunday. Those are great. But whatever.
Yeah, man.
Monday, 8:30 p.m. Nuggets, Lakers. I'm telling you right now, man. I expect this to be going 7, bro.
Bro, no, I'm going to lay it out here.
The Nuggets, Lakers, 7.
I'm going to lay it out. This is what I feel like it's going to happen. Now, you laugh at me, whatever, say I'm wrong. I don't care. I'm thinking Miami sweep or lose 1 game and win 4-1. And I think the same thing with Denver. If Denver stumbles the way that they've been dominating the Lakers recently, and they don't pull this off, it will be also known as one of the worst collapses, and Mike Malone might be out of a job.
All right, so the narrative for the Nuggets Lakers and why I think it's different and completely different than the Celtics Heat is that basically the first game, the Lakers were lucky to be in it at the end. The second game, they really should have won the game, but they couldn't check Murray. Third game, they're going to win it. Fourth game, they could have a significant win and really put the Nuggets in a spot where they're questioning themselves going back home. If that happens, bro, and the Nuggets get punched in the mouth by the Lakers, which I know they're capable of doing.
Yeah.
Game 5 could be the end of the series, bro.
You're right. I mean, in that case,
you're over in 3 games.
You're right. It could be, but the Lakers have to adjust in a way that they haven't been able to figure it out. And I thought that the Lakers were going to come out in game 2 and put up some insane stats with AD and LeBron, and that didn't happen. So I'm just looking at it saying, LeBron did something that nobody thought it was possible as a 7 seed getting into the Western Conference Finals in a very stacked Western Conference. If I'm sitting there, I'm looking at LeBron and I'm saying, we've got to figure out a way to build this team for the future. LeBron, how are we going to do that? Because,
You do that by going to the fucking finals, bro.
Problem is, though, is that the only way for that to happen is if Denver stumbles.
No, they don't have to stumble.
Bro, Mike Malone is out-coaching Devin Ham on a whole new level.
All they have to do is win their 2 home games, and they've been 2 close finishes. If they win at home, which gives you a couple point advantage because the role players tend to play a little bit better. Shift the series. I've seen it happen like the Thunder. This to me is what I expect, and this is crazy, but whenever the Thunder got down 2 games against the Spurs, then they ran off 4 wins in a row.
Mm.
Series over. Right? That is like that's how a really great team will handle getting down 2 games.
Yeah.
Now the Celtics could do it. I could be wrong. It could happen only, and the Celtics are a higher seed, so they could ring it off. But
Sure.
theoretically, Miami, like as far as like teams that like when you're talking about blood in the water, they can like they're sharks and they can taste it. Miami's one of those teams that has an uncanny ability to put on the
it's the coaching
move.
staff. It's the fact that Jimmy Butler's been to the finals before, in the Western Conference Finals before. It's all the above. If you get the right circumstances, it's
there's
over.
a couple of factors that for sure. Number one, if they win 1 game, that's probably enough, and for sure that they won't be satisfied if they only win one. They want to end it in Miami. They want this to be a sweep, and I've never seen an 8-team demand excellence like this, but that's where they're at right now, and
dude,
they have the advantage.
I thought a few years back with Miami making the finals, I thought that was Pat Riley's last opportunity to win a championship.
Yeah,
but I'm on board. I think that Miami at this point is the favorite to win a championship. It doesn't matter who they're playing against, and that's truly insane. I mean, like when this is why team basketball is so much more important than individual basketball. How many times have we heard Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown's team versus Jimmy Butler and crew? Like, that's the thing, is why the Thunder are going to be so fucking amazing for the future is because we're team basketball oriented organization. And if you look at it, the Miami Heat, the way that they are run as an organization, it's the same exact identity. Like, you can build these super powerful teams with all these great players, but the reality is if you can't play as a team and as a cohesive unit, you're fucked. And look at what Miami's done against every team that hasn't been able to figure out because they're not a cohesive unit. They can't figure it out against them. While Miami is balling as one unit, as one team. Nobody can compete with that right now. And that's the best part of what we're watching, is the Thunder are designed to be able to be this team that everybody's going to look at and say, well, next year, as the 4 or 3 or whatever seed, they have a 0% chance to make the finals. And everybody's going to be watching them and be like, whoa, these guys are way better, And all of a sudden the rumbles of Jimmy Butler like that will be about Shea. Will be about J-Dub.
He's a killer.
And Chet. And KD.
Yo. Caleb Martin, dude, 25 points. Like I said, I watched that first quarter, and it looked like he was going to get it going. Baby. He's one of the guys I really like. He's like, he was with Charlotte. Him and his brother were Cody, and like I used to watch them play at Charlotte, and I would just be so impressed with like their grasp for the game. It made me like, it's not often you look at a player that Charlotte has and you're kind of jealous of them, especially when it comes to like role players. But I wonder, like, now everybody's talking about it, but like sometimes, like I'm a terrible like fantasy sports player. I'm really, really bad at it because like I overvalue role players, and I'm like, oh, this guy's really consistent. He's a good role player. Like that doesn't work. But Caleb Martin, if I was building a team, he would be one of those guys that I would feel like expansion draft style. Like, yeah, you get him. Like he's not going to be the guy that you can like throw the ball to and say, go get us a bucket. But he knows how to play within an offense and
within the system and team hoops.
Yeah, and he's a threat. And if you don't account for him, he'll go out and get you 25 in the conference finals. Is he going to do that night after night after night? No, but why not? Because eventually you're going to account for him. If you don't account for him, though, he'll make you pay. I mean, he's a killer.
Yeah.
And his level of finishing around the basket and shot making, you absolutely have to put somebody that can defend on him, and you can't help off of him. Not much. No. Maybe half a step, maybe a full step. This isn't like KD where you can't help off him at all because he's not super tall. You can compete. You can block his shot. You got to put somebody longer than him on there.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting thing. I do think that's where a big advantage. But if you feel like there's this big advantage for Miami, but one thing I was looking at when I was looking at this box score, it's just that Miami really played, like, they played Vincent for 40. Love only got 14 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. Lowry got 17. Zeller got 9. Robinson 20. Martin 32. So they played 4 guys off the bench. Only 3 guys over 10 minutes. 2 of those guys over 20. One starter didn't get over 20. Like, their rotation is 7. It feels like they're deeper, right? But like, but you're talking Duncan Robinson. I guess it was like an 8-man rotation, but the way that they're like, it's 8 men, but they're shortening how many minutes the bench guys are playing. Like they're only playing like 15 to 18, maybe 20, and in that range. So then it's kind of like this interesting combination of like a couple of guys getting 40, 3 guys getting high 30s, and like that's their whole rotation. Now, if you look at Boston, I'm not sure if it's going to be much different. Yeah, it is. Like, they went 8 deep, but those 3 guys off the bench all played just about 25 plus minutes.
Yeah.
And that's a lack of depth on both teams.
It's also the shorting of the rotation according to what other teams are playing.
Who on the on the Heat's bench that they didn't play would you consider trustworthy in a playoff situation? Haslam, 1 or 2 games per year. That's it. Highsmith, Jovic, Yurtseven. So yeah, they are shortening the rotation, but like,
but they don't have anybody else. You're right.
Right.
Because Tyler Hero. What about Kyler Lowry? Is he playing?
He is. He played 14 minutes or so, 17 minutes. Here's the thing. Hero will be back for the finals.
Good.
I am lying about that because I have no information. But when his injury came up, my thought immediately came to he's out for, like, it's a break, right? So breaks are usually like 8 weeks. So he's out unless they make it to the finals.
Yeah.
And then the team just plays long enough, he comes back. So you're right. I forgot about Hero when I was looking down this list. I was like this team does not look like a team that can win in the finals. But you add Hero to them and they got better. Then all of a sudden they have 9 deep. I mean, Zeller actually, like, I felt like he didn't do much, but like I guess most of his minutes were probably in the first quarter, but he got a couple of rebounds, like 6 rebounds in 9 minutes, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he can make an impact, but you got to find that killer off the bench. And it was Martin, right?
Yeah,
he carried the bench, but who is it going to be next time? And what can they expect from Love? I mean, he's been playing good, but like he went 0 for 3, man. And that's not how he's been playing. So, like, do we have old Kevin Love or do we have I guess old Kevin Love is like the new version?
But Kevin Love isn't expected to do much except for outlet pass it out. You know, they keep it simple for him.
Yeah, man, but when they leave him alone on the perimeter.
Yeah. That nobody really does anymore though.
What's up, Sammy? Yeah, they have been, like, in this playoffs, he's been finding himself open quite a bit. But it seems like they're like, okay, we're gonna guard you now. Like, you've proven you can shoot, and then coaches are like, fine, we'll play Martin. Like, we'll play Zeller. We'll go this other way. So it's a lot of fun, man. It's a chess match. Somebody said it was more like poker.
Yeah.
And I agree. I think there's a lot more like you do this, so I'll do this, and you do this and I'll do that. And it's a lot of like the meta game. And it's exciting to watch, but I don't know, bro. Like, we're getting some questions here.
Oladipo is a probable return as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Hero broke his hand and was out. He broke his hand like at the beginning of the playoffs or just the end of the season, whatever it was. But it was out like a 4 to 6 weeks being out. And we're at right there. And then Oladipo, I think, was like his injury. I don't know what it was, but I think it was a 4 to 6 week, and it was around the same time. So, man, Sammy, that makes me excited. Thank you very much, man.
So let's talk about the finals playing out. Do you think it's going to be a Heat Celtics finals? I'm sorry. That's silly to me.
Heat, Lakers.
Heat Nuggets finals. I still think it's gonna.
Yeah.
There's a really good chance it's a Lakers Heat finals. But what do you think?
I want to see Lakers Heat just because the 7-8 seed, and not because it's the Lakers, but 7-8 seed. I would think would be amazing for the sport, but I do think the Heat and the Nuggets are going to end up being there.
All right, pick the winner.
Well, we all know what Jimmy can do in the playoffs, and if Jimmy has more team and health, I think Jimmy wins in 6. But then again, the Nuggets could be too much.
Jimmy in 6.
Jimmy in 6. I mean, like.
I mean, I guess the Heat in 6, but yeah, Jimmy in 6.
No. We'll just go. We name the Heat Jimmy.
The Jimmys.
Jimmy wins in 6.
All right, man. If it's, I mean, I think Bam can. I think if he gears into stopping Jokic, I think he can compete.
Dude, the only way he
stop him,
stops Jokic is if he grabs him by the nuts and twists him, bro.
But
he's one of the best defenders as far as centers and blocks.
The truth is, you know how you stop Jokic? It's you approach the game like Dort, which is I'm going to make you take tough shots and beat me. And I'm not going to get frustrated if I accomplish my goal. Yeah. And you might score 40. Dort gets scored, like he gets people who score like crazy numbers on him. But by the end of the game, they're not the same player they were at the beginning of the game because they get worn down like a great boxer. Mm-hmm. And like I think if AD just never showed frustration, like Jokic was like shooting shots that he didn't want to shoot. Now they were going in, but AD was like kind of like playing into like the Joker's hand, which is like if you show frustration. So you have to just be like, hey, it's a win if he shoots that shot. Like it's a win even if he makes it. It's a win. I'm not going to admit that it was a bad shot because that was on my terms. And I'm going to make him shoot shots on my terms for 7 games. And if they beat us when he's just shooting miraculous shots all 7 games, then people will look back and say this was one of the most amazing finals ever. And that's what it took to beat us. And that's the only thing it takes. But with AD, it's like he gets defeated. You can't get defeated. And I think that's why
one of the best players that gets caught in his head that I've ever seen.
Right. And I think Bam will be a better finals competitor because he has the experience, this maturation of like, being defeated, like being an underdog, coming from nowhere, developing into his spot. And I do expect him to really show that he is a legit superstar. Like he is the face of the franchise or one of them in the end. But it kind of is seem as like Jimmy's team and Bam is one of the other guys. But like Bam has the ability to put up 25 points a night for the finals and really like assert himself. And I expect him to be one of those guys that puts up career best games in the biggest situations. Like putting up a regular season game, 45 points is just not Bam's game.
No.
But if it's like his team says, we need you to go out there and do that to Jokic, like he will do it by offensive rebounds. He'll do it whatever, because some players just have that extra gear they can give. Sure. You know what I mean? And they just save it until it's the biggest games because like I've heard Sam Presti say about some of the best Thunder players, like they have competitive fire that will take them a little bit further than their God-given natural ability could. And that competitiveness is like, it's like a fucking stimulant. It's like a steroid. It's like fucking drug. And then once they snort that shit, bro, they like turn into superhumans, bro.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, you're right, man. You're right. And I think that's why it's important that we watch this playoffs so intently, because as much as I didn't want to watch any more basketball this year, I think what we're watching and witnessing before us is all about how to create a team environment to win. And it's a masterclass. And so for me, that's what I want to take out of this NBA playoffs.
It's a masterclass, bro. Brought to you by Pat fucking Riley.
And staff.
And dude, I still hate the Heat from my childhood. I hate the Heat for how they beat us. But in the end, like, if you want to emulate culture, that's the culture. If you want to emulate play style, that's the play style. And if you look at other elements of play style and culture and stuff, there's other teams too. But right now, tip of the hat to that. And I heard Joe Mazzuto talking about the Celtics seemed a little lost in crunch time. And I think that's right.
You're right. You're right. They don't have that leader on the bench that they've had the prior 3 or 4 years. You know, it's lost, and I'm sorry for them, but this is what happens when you get a coach that really just takes your organization through the loop and doesn't really recognize that his actions affect the players directly. And now we're watching it, you know, right in front of us. And as much as I want to sit here and blame it on Masula or anybody else, you and I both know that this is a situation that was created because of the Celtics not doing the proper stuff. And the Celtics did not take care of the players like they should have. They should have recognized the situation. They should have been able to keep it with either in-house or not in-house and deal with it sooner. They waited too long, man. And because of that, they weren't prepared, because if they had kept the people in place, it would have been the Jazz coach that would be the Celtics coach right now. And you're telling me that that wouldn't be a better fit?
Will Hardy.
My favorite.
I was going to say it, but I didn't want to. That's right.
My fave. All right, man. Well, this has been
bro.
a great episode. I appreciate everybody sticking around for as long as you guys have.
Dude, hour and 11 minutes. I had no idea we went that long.
Yeah, dude. It was perfect, man. Perfect.
I got lost. I got lost in the goodness. All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
All right.